Everyone, and welcome once again to the channel. And this video is going to be part 3 of our blog series where we build a blog application using Django and a PostgreSQL database. And so in the earlier video we created the blog data schema, and we performed several customizations to our Django administration website. And in this where we edited our post, where we added this post, and if we click on add post again, we can Django created this form for us, and we registered our admin module. We can add a customized title, and we can see that the slug changes automatically. We were able to select our user with using this widget, and we were also able to select the status of the blog post, which is either draft or either published. So great, so we achieved this in our earlier video, and the agenda for this video is that we are going to be creating a model manager, we are going to be creating views, and we are going to see how we can add URL patterns for those views, right? So let's get into the tutorial. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to create a model manager, correct? So we must first go into our models.py file to create the model manager. So the main purpose for creating this model manager is that we need to retrieve all our we need to retrieve all posts with the status that's published, right? Because we have all the posts, but we must only display those posts on our website, on our blog application, that have been selected as published by the administrator. So let's get started. So we must first enter into our models.py file, and we can start by creating a class. Let's create a class called published manager. Okay, so we must retrieve all those posts that are published. So models dot manager, and then we must write a function to get the query set. So good, that looks good. So we need to do dot get underscore query set, and we need to filter these out based on the status, correct? So we need to filter these out based on the status. So we can do something like this should work according to status equal to published. Great. So this looks about right. And let's just take this section right here and put it right here. Okay, so now that we have created our publishing manager, let's just review this once again if everything's correct. Def get underscore query set, return published manager dot query set. Alright, so once this is done, we need to make a few changes to our post class, right? We need to make a few changes to our post model. So the things that we need to change is we need to add an object. We need to create an objects field here and mention the default manager for this model. So models.manager, right? And after giving the default field, we must add a custom manager that we had created. So that will be the class that we created right now, published manager. Great. So once this is done, the next thing that we want to do is we want to build the two views, right? Since we need to display something onto our website, obviously. So we must create the views for our application. So first let's head into our views.py file. So views.py file, yeah, so once we are done with this, let's just close the settings, this is the admin.py, and close the models, and let's go to views.py. So once we head into the views.py file of our blog application, we need to make edits here. So first let's from Django.shortcuts import render. So we'll need get underscore object as well for 404 errors, and from models we need post, since we need to display our post. So def post, let's just call our view post underscore list, correct, and we're going to take a request as a parameter here into the function, and let's just write post equal to post and retrieve the published ones. So dot all okay, and then we just need to render the template. Yeah, so let's just render the template, and let's just, so this is going to be the directory structure that we're going to be creating, blog slash post slash list.html, and we'll create this directory structure right now. So once we do this, we just need to, yeah, we just need to add a little thing here. All right, posts, and okay, that looks right. So once we do this, once our view is ready, we need to, so we have created our first view in this in Django. So we see that the request parameter is a parameter that is required by all views, correct. So then we use the render function shortcut provided by Django to render the entire list of posts with the given template. So this function again takes the request object and the template path and the context variable to render the given template, and then it will return an HTTP response. So once this is done, let's create a second view.py file to display a single post. So let's add another view. So let's create a second view. Alright, so what we can do is we can add post underscore detail. So we need to display details of the post, right? So let's create another view for that, and that goes like this: request and the year, the month, the day, and the post. So once we have done this, we will, and the parameters, we take our post, our slug, and several things that we need to write. The status must be published, and we need to get the year of publishing as well, which is just equal to year, and a published month as well, which is just the current month, and a publish underscore day. Okay, so that looks good, that should work. So once we do this, we just need to return using the render function as I discussed below, pass the request parameter and give the directory structure that we'll be creating. So once we do this, we need to give the context variables, which is just similar to this. Okay, so def post get object for return request blog post detail.html. okay, this looks good. So now this is the post details view, and the view takes the year, month, day, post arguments to retrieve a published post, right, with the given slug and the date. Now when we created the post model, we added the unique for date parameter to the slug field. Now yeah, so this view is ready. So now the next thing that we need to do is we just need to add the URL pattern for this view. So this view needs to follow a URL pattern to be mapped to our web page, right? So let's go and create a urls.py file. Since we do not already get that, we have to create a urls.py file. So we go ahead to our blog application, right click, new Python file, and let's just call it urls. And once this is created, great. So the next thing that we need to do is we need to write our URL mappings here. So from django.urls.import path. So once we do that, we need to import the views as well, right? So from .all import views. So once we do this, we need to specify the name of the app. So that is just blog, and our URL patterns. So here we need to write our post views. So I mean we need to write the path. So we use path, and for the default one we have views dot post underscore list, and the name that we want to give to this, so that we can give it a name as well, so that we can easily write this in our HTML file, is post underscore list. Okay, and the second one that we need to do is the post underscore details, right? So we go here and we need to pass the year and the month and the day and the slug post, correct? So when we are using the post details, so that the user can see in the URL which is the all the details as well. So it's more convenient and professional. So once we do this, we can just we can use this, and we mention the year, and then we mention the month, then we mention the year, the month, and the day. So once we do that, we must also mention the post, name of the post, right? So mention the name of the post, and that looks good. So once we have mentioned the entire URL mapping, we need to mention the view. So it's view.post underscore detail, and similarly we'll be providing a name for this as well. So the name is just going to be post underscore detail. So once we've done this, our URL mappings look good to go. So now the next thing that we need to do is we need to add the main mappings, right, to our main project. So this one that already had the urls.py created within it. So we need to add the path for our blog application, since so that it can find these URLs right here, so that this can find these paths right here. We must make changes here to allow it to go to the blog application. So if we do that, then we go blog slash, and we write include, and we just need to import this. Yeah, so we've added this in our import, and we just need to include blog.urls. So we just do blog.urls, which is the name of our file containing all the URL mappings. We do that, then we just enter the namespace. So namespace blog. Yeah, so Yeah, so now that we've added the patterns here as well, now the new URL defined with include refers to the URL pattern defined in the blog application, so that they're included after the blog slash path. So once we have done this, we can enter yeah, so now we must again head back to our models.py file, right? So we need to define an absolute URL. So we need to use the get underscore absolute underscore URL method. We'll create a function called an absolute underscore URL, and we'll use so that we can refer it back into our templates using DTL, which is Django template language. So once we do this, we can head over to our models.py file, and once we go here, we can make a few edits to our post here. So we can just go ahead here and add a function here called def get underscore absolute underscore URL. So once we've created this, we must write return reverse. So essentially what we're doing here right now is working with a canonical URL. Canonical URL is the preferred URL for a resource. So when we're pulling in resources, we must go for canonical URLs instead of normal URLs. So you may have different pages in your site, right, where you want to display posts, but this is just a single URL that you use. So the convention in Django is to add a get underscore absolute underscore URL method to the model that returns the canonical URL for the object. So this is a convention in Django that we must follow. So you can use the post underscore detail URL that you have defined in the preceding section to build the canonical URL for the post objects. So let's go ahead and finish the function that we typed. So once we do this, we just call it return underscore reverse and mention blog post underscore detail and let's give the arguments array, and we just write self publish, and yeah, we need to import reverse, right? So from Django dot URLs, so we haven't done that import yet. Let's just write that from Django dot URLs import reverse. Great. So once you've done that, the error should have resolved. Yeah, the error is gone. We get self dot publish dot here, and then we get self dot publish dot month, year, month, and the day, right? So we just copy this, changes to day, and self dot slug. Great. So once we've done this, we've defined our absolute URL path. Now the advantage that we get from this is that we can directly use this in our template, which is very convenient for us to use canonical URLs. So once we have done this, we must create the directory structure that we have mentioned here. So once we do, so we can go ahead and do that. And inside our blog application, the first thing that we need to do is create a templates directory. So let's do that. Once we create a templates, let's create a templates directory. Let's call it templates. Templates is the standard name that we must use. And inside templates, let's create another directory called blog. And within blog, we must add a template HTML file called base.html. So this base.html will be the standard template that all our files, all our other HTMLs will extend from. So this is going to be very helpful for us to use. So once we do this, we have base.html, and within our blog, let's have another directory called post that we had done. So we have another directory called post, and within post we have two more HTML files called list and details. So we have list and we have details. So let's create that as well, detail. So a post will get, so hopefully we've followed this block slash post slash list.html. So block slash post slash list.html. Yeah, so the directory structure has been created correctly. So the next thing that we need to do is obviously make changes to our so now we are going to be making use of a very powerful template language that Django allows us to use, and it is based on template tags, variables, filters. So there are a lot of things that Django provides. Template variables get replaced with values when we render them, and DTL is basically a very helpful resource. So let's go ahead and make changes to our base.html file. So let's go ahead and do make changes to our base dot. So this is going to be like our main structure that we're going to be using, and yeah, so let's type some base code for us to use. So we can go ahead and mention the block title, right? The block title, all right. This is DTL syntax that we're using here, and it's very essential that you write it correctly so that it gets rendered correctly during execution. And once we do end block, and yeah, so once we've done this, we can link a CSS file. So link href. So we'll be writing the code for CSS as well. So static, we'll be creating the structure later. CSS slash blog.css, and rel equal to style sheet. So we have opening comma here, opening apostrophe here as well, CSS slash, okay, this looks correct. And then we just need to render content, right? So we add a div here, and let's just give it an ID, call it content. And block. And now we've done this, we also need to add a sidebar that will display our latest posts. That will also give us the most commented posts, right, when we build a comment system later. So let's create a sidebar, and let's just call this my blog. And yeah, and let's just give a simple paragraph tag and call it this is my blog. Great. So once this has been created, we can just remove this. And yeah, once this has been created, what we can do is we need to load all the static content, right? So we need to tell Django that it must load all static content. So we had to add another line here called load underscore static. So load static. This is actually very important. And yeah, so once this has been done, we must just review this once. Load underscore static doc type HTML, HTML head, title, style sheet, head, div content, block content, and block, div, sidebar. Okay, this looks good to go. So yeah, So once we've done this, the next thing that we want to do is edit our post, right? We want to edit the contents of our post view. So we go to our post.html. We go to a list file, list.html. Yeah, so once we've done this, we need to make a lot of edits to this. So we need to, first of all, we need to extend our base, right? Our base file that we created. So we write extends blog / base.html, and DTL syntax needs to be followed. So yeah, so we extended our base.html. Now we must include the blog title, right? We must include the title of the blog. So let's just write blog title, my blog, and blog. And blog. Great. So once you've done this, let's blog content again. You can just go ahead and remove all of this since we are already extending from our file. So now let's just add an h1 tag here and call this my blog, and we need to display the posts, right? So DTL also allows us to use conditional statements, so, and also loops. So for post, in posts, I can use syntax like this in a template with the help of DTL, another advantage of Django. And ahref, and we can just use get underscore absolute underscore URL as I had discussed earlier, and this is very helpful for use. So once we have done this, we can simply include the post title, yeah. So once we've done this, we can just include the date, right? The next thing you want to do is include the date. So let's just have a p class, call this date, and published by post.author. So the next thing that we just need to do is we need to include the post body. So we have the heading, we have the date, and then we have the post body, correct? So once we do that, we need to include just another line, call it post.body, and we need to truncate it, correct? So truncate words 30 and line breaks. Hopefully the syntax is correct, and then we need to end a for loop. And let's just have an end block here. Great. So once we've done this, our detail view looks good to go. So once this is done, with the extends template tag, like we mentioned here, we've extended our main block template, and then so let's try to run this. Let's close this, and Yet now we've not included styling to our page. Let's just see if our content is showing up as of now. So we have errors here. The value ordering refers to publish, which is not an attribute. For blog.post refers to publish. So we need to have a post that is at least have a published status, right? Let's have a look. Base.system check error, found some issues. Main thread, raise system check, blog.admin.post admin. So let's have a look at the error, and so it says publish is not an attribute. So let's have a look. So this should be correct. Let's just run our development server and check. Okay, so the error seems to have been resolved. Let's just go here. And this is expected since we do not have a main template ready yet. So we need to go to /blog. And yeah, so we do not have any temp thing with posts ready yet, right? So we need to write a post. Post, is this published? So the status says published. So let's try to add another post and check. Let's just call this top 5 programming languages, and let's just call it admin body. Let's just have some script. Swift, Kotlin. Yeah, so once we do this, let's just change it to published, save, and just a minute. Yeah, so we've updated our post. We've added another post here, and we should be getting this at our view. So there's some error with this. We must have a look at our template. So at least our views are getting added successfully. So now the thing that we need to do is check why we are not able to display. So we need to check our model manager. So publish equals publish manager return publish manager query set for status that says published. So this looks correct. Yeah, so models looks correct. Let's just go to our view first. List.html. So our view seems to have been okay, all right. So what I've done by mistake here is that I've included the code for list.html in details by mistake. Control C here, Control V. Yeah, so this is supposed to be the display for list.html. So let's just go ahead and run it again. And we need to go to blog, and here we have an error for get absolute URL. So let's see what the error is. Reverse for post underscore detail with arguments not found, pattern blog slash month slash day slash post, no reverse match at blog. So let's check our urls.py file again. So let's check this file for now. So post.get, so we are extending our blog.base.html, blog title, my blog, href, get underscore absolute underscore URL. Hopefully that's correct. Get underscore absolute. So if we go to our URL patterns here, int year, int month, day, slug post, views.post underscore detail, name equal to post underscore detail. So this looks correct. Why the error is urls.py file blog slash include blog.urls space blog. So this looks correct as well. Reverse for post underscore detail with arguments not found, one pattern tried. So let's just go to our admin file and delete the current blogs that we have. And alright, reverse for post detail. So obviously the contents for the year and everything have not been added properly. Okay, so the error persists. Reverse of post. So we have an error in this. So get absolute post.get underscore absolute underscore URL. It's throwing an error. So if we have a look at our this canonical URL is giving us an error, right? So def get return blog post underscore detail arguments self.publish.here imported reverse as well, self.publish.month, So this seemed like the only solution available. self.publish.year, self.publish.month, self.publish.day, and self.slug. Yeah, so I've resolved the error here, and it's just that we do not currently need to use a canonical URL, so we can just test our project and run it. And if we run the development server stats, we go to our URL for which we have set a template, and we see that it successfully displays the heading, it displays the our article, displays the year, it displays exactly the date, time, and by whom it was published, and it displays the content of the article as well. So in this, so we have successfully created the list view, and we have successfully created a model manager, we have created a URL pattern, and we have also created a template successfully. So thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe to the channel, please like the video, comment as well, let me know what you thought, how can I improve this project, how can I optimize my videos for so that y'all like it better. And thanks again for watching.